what does it mean for rage in Tigritude? It's a weird thing because it means for me a circle. Circle in the sense that I come from Nigeria, grew up in England, but made a film in England. They made this film in England, Rage, came to France, and then coming back to a concept from a Nigerian, a great Nigerian writer. So I see I just see immediately. I see a circle, and for me, the Tigritude, the whole concept of this event, and everything is the way what it's been put together for me is really a huge thing that perhaps at the moment, like most things, when you're in it, you don't realize what it is. It will take some time. But I've seen something similar in England in 1995. There was something called Africa 95, which was a similar situation of a curatorship of African films. And that was where I met for the first time Djibril Diop. I met Wedrogo, I met Suleiman Cissé, I was a naive filmmaker out of film school, didn't know much about, I didn't know anything about Francophone African cinema. But that was the moment I was introduced to a whole new world. So I hope that Tigritude will, this series and this programmation will do so for somebody. And it should be taken seriously. It's not trivial. It might seem like it because it's a machine. It's a huge thing. But when it settles, I know what it can be in the future. So for me, it's to be involved in it is very important. It's important to support it and to be involved with it. This is not Nollywood. Well, this is a very provocative. The title "This is not Nollywood" is very provocative. Because I'm sure in my country, when people hear, oh, and Newton is doing a talk that says, this is not Nollywood. He never liked Nollywood. He doesn't like Nollywood. He always never promotes Nollywood. I do promote Nollywood in the sense that I appreciate what Nollywood has done. Nollywood is an industry self-created by people without the support of a government. But one must appreciate the will of the people when they decide to take something into their hands and to, if the government is not going to do anything, which we elected, we are going to do it. So the will of Nollywood is actually something that is very endemic in Nigerian spirit. It's an endemic thing. If we will try, but at some point we'll say, look, you know what? Screw it. We just must do it, and we're going to do it. Now, okay, so the first acknowledged most of the time is a film called Living in Bondage by 𝗰𝗆𝗃𝗄. And this was 1992, Living in Bondage by 𝗰𝗆𝗃𝗄. And from a humble space, they created an industry that has become, the pride of Hollywood, which, it depends on how you look at it, is that it's the second largest film production industry in the world. This is where the problem for me then begins. Okay, then what are the films? How valid are these films? So this is where I am. Then in this search, because for 3 years, I was the artistic director of a film festival in Lagos, in Nigeria. I saw a lot of films, and my desire was to see, let's move beyond the original Nollywood. We need to grow. And I identified young filmmakers who I felt had some sort of a mission, whose ideas was like, cinema is not just entertainment, it can be used for something more powerful. And who understood, really, because if you understand what cinema is, you understand that cinema is not just entertainment. It can look like it. Hollywood can make you feel like it looks like it, but in reality, if you know the power of cinema, it is not just entertainment, it's a psychological thing. It's a very powerful psychological instrument. And so I identified young filmmakers that were interested in, and I understood from this level, and that needs to start talking about the situation in my country, Nigeria, and not just make entertainment for the sake of entertainment. So that's hopefully what I will try to talk about. But with respect to Nollywood and what it's created, because it kept Hollywood outside of Nigeria. It kept a lot of bad films outside of Nigeria. So I would recommend, honestly, I recommend go and see, whenever you see anything that is on this program. There's things on this program that I wish I've seen, and I've been a filmmaker. I left film school 30 years ago. I try to pride myself, like any cineaste, that I've seen a lot of films. But there's many films in this that I haven't seen because they're rare to get. But see, any chance you get, see any of this, see anything on the program, anything. And it's really, these are rare, carefully curated program with films that are very, very difficult to, if you miss this, the chance of you seeing this again is going to be very, 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 very rare for the next 10, 15 years. I can tell you that. So for me, I recommend Handsworth Songs by John Akonfra, who was one of the pioneers of filmmaking and was involved with a collective in the 80s called the Black Audio Collective. He's now currently a visual artist. Then I recommend School Days by Spike Lee, because it's one of his rarest films that we hardly ever see and talk about, because when it came out, I think the film flopped. It was his second film, because he had done this film, Nola Darling, which you call Nola Darling here. And School Days came out, and everyone was like, what the hell is this? And amongst the black community, there was a problem of a filmmaker talking about colorism, which is what we're calling it today. We know what it's called today, colorism. Because the big fight was not about colorism yet. It was really about the black struggle in general, and we're all black. And if you grew up in England like I did in the late 80s, 90s, when you say black, it means black, Asian, anyone other than white, British. We're all accepted as, we are black. Pakistanis, Asian, Southeast Asian, whatever, we identify as black. We're a collective of people we call it black and black movement. So suddenly there was this film, 1988, and so people were a bit nervous, but I think it's interesting to relook at it again today with a new lens, looking backwards. And then the third film will be David Ashka, Une étoile filante. This I chose because it's made by a friend of mine. Also, not just because it's made by a friend of mine, but it was something rare, with African filmmaker making a film about an African filmmaker. And talking about his friend who died I can't remember what he died of, but Mama Keita, this is Mama Keita's film, a sort of tribute film to his friend, the filmmaker David Ashka. I think it's very touching, very emotional, and very powerful, and I think it's something to see.